6 years after falling for my neighbor's older brother, I found myself staring at his lips so close yet seemingly out of reach. I pressed my own lips against his, and the impact left them numb and tingling. It wasn't really a kiss, more like a form of revenge. After liking my neighbor's older brother for 6 years, I'd decided to end my secret crush. We both got into college together, and I mustered up the courage to hand him a love letter. But the next day, when Zhi started avoiding me, he doesn't like me, I pursued him relentlessly. Yet I never managed to shake his resolve. Heartbroken and utterly disheartened, I decided to let go completely. Just as I turned around, he began unbuttoning his shirt one by one right in front of me, then handed me a length of rope. His eyes were as dark as ink, his earlobes flushed crimson, and his voice was hoarse as he said, "I can accept it. Come on." When Zhi and I have been childhood sweethearts, growing up together since we were little. Our parents are close friends, and we've been companions ever since we were toddlers wearing split-minus crotch pants, through elementary school, junior high, high school, and college. We've always been in the same classes and never once been apart. To others, HES the epitome of excellence, both academically and morally. A rare gem who always ranks first in his grade. Yet, HES unusually attentive and caring specifically toward me. He patiently helps me catch up on my studies, remembers all my preferences, even keeping track of my menstrual cycle with remarkable precision. Help prepare ginger minus sugar water for me in advance and strictly forbid me from touching any cold drinks at all. On campus, we were inseparable, and everyone took it for granted that we were a couple. I happily assumed that he felt the same way about me. Everything changed the moment I handed him the love letter I'd been hiding for 6 years. He started deliberately avoiding me, no longer helping me grab seats in class, and simply ignoring me when we ran into each other on the way. Even when I reached out to touch him, he jerked his hand away as if he'd been scalded. After class, I stopped him and, barely holding back my sobs, asked him, "Is this your answer?" He turned his head away, remained silent for a long while, then uttered a single hum. At that moment I felt as though I'd plunged into an icy abyss. Watching him stumble away, my heart was filled with resentment and bitterness. Back in the dorm room, I collapsed onto the desk and burst into tears. My roommate, King He, learned what had happened and kept comforting me, encouraging me to bravely pursue love and never let myself have any regrets. I looked at myself in the mirror and made up my mind, even if I end up failing, I'll still fight with all my might to give it my best shot. The next morning, I got up before dawn and, imitating what I'd seen, made a heart-minus-shaped breakfast. Then, braving the cold wind, I waited for him downstairs. After the chill set in, she frowned tightly, didn't take the breakfast at all. Instead, she took off her own scarf and wrapped me up warmly. After taking the breakfast in her hands and giving it a quick touch, she casually tossed it into the trash can and said coldly, "Food that's gotten cold is no longer fit to eat." Looking at the discarded breakfast, it felt just like my shattered heart. Tears burst forth in an instant. I didn't listen to a single word of his explanation. Instead, I turned around and ran away. In the days that followed, I kept taking the initiative to get closer to him, yet he remained ambiguously distant, refusing my feelings on one hand, while on the other, he couldn't help but treat me kindly. The more he did this, the more confused I became. During the weekend club gathering, King He helped me come up with an idea. I wanted to use a game to get him to reveal his true feelings. At the drinking party, King He deliberately pushed me toward Wen Zhi. I stared at his profile and momentarily lost myself in thought. But suddenly, he stood up and moved to a seat far away from me. We proposed playing rock minus paper minus scissors, agreeing that whoever picks the same gesture would have to kiss, when Jihan had originally intended to stop it. Finally, seeing my firm attitude, he still agreed in the end. In the first round, Zhu Chen, my junior student, and I ended up with the same score. Without saying a word, when Jihan immediately drank the strong liquor from me, his eyes coldly fixed on Zhu Chen. brimming with possessiveness. In the second round, I finally managed to synchronize seamlessly with Wen Han. I was brimming with anticipation. Yet, he once again picked up his wine glass and drank alone. His refusal became the last straw that broke my back. Stirred by the alcohol, I snatched the wine glass and downed its contents in one gulp, then shouted at him, "You're not even my relative, don't you dare interfere." In a fit of emotional loss of control, I grabbed the bottle of liquor and gulped it down. My foot slipped, and I tumbled into a familiar embrace. The chill of his warmth drove me into a corner. I struggled to get away, blaming him for refusing to kiss me, blaming him for his erratic behavior, sometimes warm, sometimes cold. Looking at his lips, so close yet just out of reach, my mind suddenly went blank. I grabbed his head and slammed it hard against mine. This kiss was anything but gentle. It was filled with resentment and a desperate need for revenge. I reached into his sweater, my hand brushing against his ABS, letting loose all the pent-up frustration deep within me. After enough fussing, I pushed him away and reached for my phone to block him, but he snatched the phone right out of my hand. He locked my wrist, leaned down, and kissed me, a kiss that was both passionate and deeply heartfelt, brimming with emotions long suppressed. I struggled futilely, gradually surrendering to his tenderness. In a daze, all I could hear was his soft, pleading voice. "Don't block me." The next morning, I woke up in a strange room wearing cartoon pajamas. When Han was waiting for me in the living room, dressed in casual clothes. He told me this was his house and even admitted that He'd been the one to change my clothes. But then he laughed and said He'd done it with his eyes covered, never once looking at me. I got up to leave and by chance caught sight of the 2 matching wedding rings on the table, mistaking them for a sign that he was about to marry someone else. The last shred of hope in my heart shattered completely. I snapped out a harsh remark, turned around and walked away without looking back. When I got home, I made up my mind to apply for an exchange study program, wanting to escape this place that filled me with sorrow. I blocked all of Wen Han's contact information. He came over to my place for a free meal and tried to talk to me, but I kept giving him cold responses and didn't offer the slightest bit of acknowledgement. The day to go abroad was soon upon us, and I arrived at the airport alone, only to find that he had already bought a ticket for us to travel together, planning to accompany me on this long journey to a foreign land. I thought that leaving would help me let go, but in this foreign land, I still find myself missing him every single moment. One night, as a heavy rain poured down, I stood dejectedly at the library entrance. A stranger suddenly offered me an umbrella and pretended to walk me home. But once we reached his residence, he revealed his sinister intentions and began to make unwanted physical advances toward me. But he managed to overpower me. Just as I was about to lose hope, a familiar figure rushed in and knocked the man to the ground. It's the cold of warmth. My tense nerves instantly relaxed, and I passed out, falling into his warm embrace. When I woke up again, I was flying in Wen Han's arms. He held me tightly, refusing to let go. I questioned him as to why he was here. He looked at me, his eyes serious yet filled with resentment. "Linshu, you have to take responsibility for me." It was only then that I realized what He'd seen back then wasn't a love letter at all, but rather a private little essay had casually slipped in, written with us as the protagonists. He'd mistakenly assumed I preferred this particular way of interacting, and out of shame for confronting it, He'd deliberately avoided me. As for those 2 wedding rings, He'd already prepared them for us long ago. So, minus called marriage was just his way of teasing me. Even he accompanying me abroad was something he had arranged in advance just to quietly stand by my side and ensure that I wouldn't suffer the slightest harm. The truth finally came to light, and I was both angry and delighted. It turned out that our feelings for each other had always been mutual, unspoken crushes only due to a series of unfortunate coincidences. Had we missed each other all this time? When Han looked at me, slowly unbuttoning his shirt one by one, his ears turned slightly red, and his gaze held a mix of nervousness and determination. He handed me a length of rope and said softly, "I'm ready to accept it, come on." Looking at his flustered yet earnest expression, I instantly understood. For my sake, he was willing to set aside all his pride. Afterward, when Zhi-Han took out his phone, flipped through it for a moment, and finally placed a photo in front of me. It seems to have been kneaded into a ball and then flattened again. I took it, and after clearly reading the contents, I just wished I could immediately burrow into the ground. That was a spur minus of minus the minus moment fanfic I wrote, starring me and Wen Zhi-Han, though it was the really twisted kind. Moreover, I also noted the title of the novel I was currently writing at the time. If him supposed to die, then don't let me be publicly humiliated. I quickly deleted the photo. How did you even get this? 3 years ago. I suddenly slapped my forehead. It was clearly I who treated it as a love letter and gave it to Zhi-Han. No wonder he avoids me like the plague. It's no wonder he'd smash me to death in a fit of anger after all. I've already done everything humanly possible. My character is ruined. Later, after clearing up all the misunderstandings, we naturally found ourselves together, transitioning from school uniforms to wedding dresses and finally walking down the island to marriage. Once reserved and shy, after marriage, he had eyes only for me, showering me with all his tenderness and special affection. Looking back on this winding love story, I'm filled with gratitude. During those 6 years when I loved him, it was never a one-way rush, rather. We both secretly concealed our feelings and cautiously tested the waters. I married Wen Zhi-Han. He has thoroughly enjoyed the taste and always insists on trying out the things I've written about in my books. Heaven, I'm just someone who writes stories. I don't actually put them into practice. Why are you punishing me like this? Why on earth did I send the wrong love letter? When Wen was first teased, she'd immediately blush. But once she figured things out, it was as if her Ren and Du meridians had been on block. Pulse. As I started to whimper again, when Zhi-Han's cold breath whispered in my ear, "Shoo shoo, one more time." I kicked him down with one kick.